Hey guys, welcome back to Pixel Street Videos. I am John Hansen, and I am joined by the Nintendo enthusiast himself, Holden DePardo, and we are giving you our review for Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Holden, how are you doing, man?
I'm talking Kirby. I've never played Kirby, so I'm excited to talk about Kirby.
Yeah, real quick. This is your very first Kirby game.
I've dabbled a little bit,
Okay.
but like not enough to say I've played a Kirby game. So this is
Okay.
my first two completion Kirby game. My first two end of second level Kirby game.
But to the first credits, because there are multiple credits in
Yeah.
this game. But, okay.
Yes.
Alright, cool. So yeah, me and Holden have both beat the game. As I said, the main story of it, there is post-game stuff that you can go through and everything, but I want to get this video out in a timely manner. So yeah, first we're going to start off, no spoilers or anything, just kind of give our general overall views on the game and everything. Then we'll go into a little bit of spoilers if we feel like it. We'll see if the conversation goes that way. Yeah, just overall, Holden, what did you think for Kirby in the Forgotten Land?
I really liked it a lot. I thought it was super charming. And I'd go as far as to say that it might be one of the best examples of, oh, you've never played video games. You should start out with Kirby. It's a really good introduction to video games as a whole. And I don't mean that as like it's a greatest game of all time, but like it has a really, really good difficulty curve. It lets you experiment with different types of abilities you'll play in other games, like long range weapons and fire abilities, ice abilities, and like sword abilities, all that kind of stuff. And it just handles it all really well. And it's fun and, like, in the beginning at least, relaxing. It's great. It was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm right there with you. I have played quite a few Kirby games, not all of them, but I've been playing since the Game Boy days, since the very beginning. The first game came out the year I was born, but you know what I mean. On the Game Boy Color, all that stuff, I loved it. Nightmare of the Dreamland is one of my favorites in the series. I also played Star Allies recently. Not a huge fan of that one. I kind of took a break in the 3DS days, even though... Real quick here, if you didn't know, the 3DS got like 8 different Kirby games, which is just ridiculous. But yeah, on Switch here, Kirby in the Forgotten Land, our very first time seeing Kirby in a full 3D game. Like 3D environment that you can walk all around. To this point, it's been the 2.5D style where it's still a side scroller just in a 3D environment. So that was the biggest thing that got me in when they first revealed this game was, hey, Kirby's finally able to move around. There's much more freedom to it now. But there's also some other changes in the game that I absolutely love. For example, upgrading your abilities. I'm not sure if they've ever done that before. I know they've done stuff where you can like combine abilities and make them more powerful, but this is just a straight up permanent upgrade station, which I absolutely love. Just being able to grab all the rare stones and everything, and just my fire ability is the one I love the most, the Dragon Fire one.
Oh, yeah. Same here. Yeah.
Just being able...
It's powerful.
Oh, it's
so
very
strong.
powerful. Yeah. Just having that, and then there's also the like Meta Knight sword where he has the Meta Knight mask and everything. Like, that's so cool. There's so many cool abilities in this game, and I just love playing them all. Of course, like you said, the Kirby charm is there, and the game is easy, of course, and everything, even on the harder mode. I think they call it wild mode.
Yeah.
It's Kirby. It's never going to be a challenging game or anything, but the charm is there. You still have all the fun. Finding the secrets in the levels is still rewarding in most cases. I mean, obviously, there's sometimes where you're like, okay, here's a hallway. Oh, that was a secret? Okay, that wasn't anything too special. But yeah, no, the boss fights are fun. I haven't gone through the Ultimate Cup in the Coliseum yet, which is supposed to be just the boss rush mode for like all of the bosses in the game, I think. So we'll see how I do there, but I enjoyed it. I think I only died twice in my run of the main story, which, I mean, that's about on par with a Kirby game for me, because, like I said, they're just not difficult, and if you're going into a Kirby game for the difficulty, you're really getting in on the wrong game here.
Yeah, From Software doesn't make Kirby.
No.
I did find the second half to be harder than I was expecting. Not like I was dying a lot or anything, but some of those boss battles did get more demanding than I was anticipating.
It was when I fought the armadillo near the end where I think that was where I died the first time, and then the final boss I died once because I wasn't prepared for it.
The armadillo, I don't know if this gets into a spoiler or not, but like there's a move that's hard to dodge, and he does it 3 times in a row, and I'd always get hit by the second one every time. I don't know what I was doing wrong. Maybe I was trying to go in for my shots too much and kept getting. Didn't give myself enough time.
You had to slide. Did you know you could slide? Because
no, I didn't.
Yes. So yeah, that is something that this game doesn't really explain to you, which is really weird. If you hold down the block button and press A and like move to left or right, he'll like slide out of the way. Or if you just do the
I had no idea.
If you just move the left stick instead of pressing A, he'll like do a somersault out of the way. Yeah, there's like
I didn't even know you could guard until I got an achievement for one of the levels where it's like you beat this boss without guarding. I'm like, well, I wasn't trying for it because I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, in all honesty, I completely forgot about it too, and it wasn't until the armadillo fight there that I remembered, oh yeah, Kirby can slide and stuff. Yeah, so that's how you had to do it. It's such a weird oversight, or maybe it's just something I completely overlooked, but I don't remember them talking about it, so I don't know, maybe. Yeah, so let's talk about the Forgotten Land itself, because most of the time Kirby's games take place in Dreamland or Planet Popstar, and it's always kind of the same thing, nice and beautiful land and everything. The Forgotten Land here, though, it's got its themes, of course, and everything. There's like a winter one, an ice one, a volcanic one. What did you think, like, just graphically at this game? How do you think it looks?
I played on the OLED Switch, so I can attest that the colors really pop, and it looks really, really nice on that screen. I mean, it's a Switch game, so obviously, don't expect high definition. Well, it is high definition, but like super crazy fidelity graphics. Even with that, though, I thought it looked really great, and I think a big part of that is just that the art design is so strong, and the levels themselves are designed really, really well in terms of layout, but in terms of like how they look. There's always something in each scene. Nothing feels empty. It feels very dense throughout. And that really adds to it feeling adventurous to kind of go through.
Yeah, I would say that every section of the game has a purpose. And they really fill it out really well, like you were saying. It is very dense. And yeah, maybe that is one of the benefits of having a linear 3D game. Kind of like, I've been comparing this game to like a cross between Super Mario 3D World and Rayman.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got... Yeah, you can move everywhere, but it's still a very linear level. And then, of course, you go off the beaten path to find the cages and everything. And yeah, I just think they're very creative with the way they handle things, because it still looks like a world that could be believed to be like an Earth world, but it's very... what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, it's just like cartoonish. And all that stuff. It's stylized. That's what I should be saying.
Yeah.
No, I think it looks great. I do wonder, though, since you have an OLED, I'm still playing on my day one Switch. When you have to look at an enemy that is far off in the distance, does their animations like get all choppy and everything? Like okay, because that's a thing that I noticed first in Pokemon Legends Arceus this year, when a Pokemon was flying really far away, it was like they were in a stop motion film, and the same thing here in Kirby. It's just funny to me. Obviously, sorry, go ahead.
No, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying that it's I just find it funny. It really shows off the Switch's lack of power nowadays with games.
Yeah, it's definitely a limitation for sure. Yeah. And I was thinking about, because I was thinking about Pokemon Arceus as well. I'm like, why did it bother me more in Pokemon Arceus? And I think it's because the world feels so desolate that you're more drawn to seeing that flying Gyarados at 5 frames per second. Because it's like the only thing in the distance that really like stands out at all. Whereas like it took me a little while to notice the enemies doing that in Kirby, but then I became obsessed with like when I got closer to them, how smooth the transition was to them like increasing the frame rate, and it is surprisingly smooth.
Yeah.
Like it there's no like sudden cut. It's like suddenly it's not choppy. It just eases into it. So they had to do it to optimize it, but I think they handled that pretty well.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. I just find it funny because we're talking about a linear game, and when I think of like a game like holding back on stuff, I would think of a game like Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is a pretty big open world, and there's a lot of creatures coming in randomly that game has to account for. But Kirby, everything is all scripted. Everything that's supposed to happen is there. They account for everything. It's just funny seeing like one of those head guys like hop up, and it's like.
Or the ones who do turn and they're like
I just feel like I'm watching a Tim Burton claymation film pretty much, and you know I'm all down for that. Give me a whole game in that style. Yeah. All right.
Do like a Into the Spider-Verse where it's like the kind of choppier animation. Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be cool. All right, so we can get into spoilers now and everything. If you haven't beaten the game or anything, look away now, I guess, if you're really worried about Kirby. There's some interesting Kirby lore. I don't know if you know this, Holden, but Kirby has a pretty dark backstory. There's a lot of things of, like, there's, like, certain characters in the past that have been, like, abused, and there's, like, all these monsters and everything.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So in this game, we have Elfilin, your companion, who's a little cute flying chinchilla thing that actually it turns out that they are the good half of a being called Fecto-Elfilis.
Which came out of nowhere.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. Hey,
really good introduction though. Like like the build up to it was cool, but I'm like, there's a twist in a Kirby game? Mm-hmm. Like, is this normal? I don't know.
Yeah, so this Fecto-Elfilis in his, like, separated form is this, like, giant brain thing that is mind-controlling all of the beast packs. So you got your King Leogar, who's the big lion, and all the other bosses in the game, including King DDD. They've all been mind-controlled by this big brain thing, and it wants out. And the vortex that pulled Kirby and the rest of Planet Popstar into this forgotten land is that he needed workers, so he brought in all of the Waddle Dees and everything to work in his factory to, like, build up power so he could find Elfilin, trap them, make them merge with him again so he can become the ultimate life form that you fight in the very last fight of the game. I don't know what his plan was after that. Maybe there's something there I'm missing. Maybe he wants to take over the world and everything. I don't know. But from what I got out of it is he originally landed on this planet that you're playing on, and the inhabitants there trapped him somehow, and then they separated them in some other way. It's very vague. But it
is, and they dump it all on you at one time in a game that's not been very story heavy, and then all of a sudden they're like, but there's this huge thing that's been happening. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. Where did this lion come from who's even telling me this in the first place?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't bad. It was just really funny that, like, it was jarring how suddenly it popped up. But then that whole final sequence is the most epic thing I've ever seen in a Nintendo game. Holy shit.
Yeah. So you have...
It's crazy.
You have the march. Okay, let's start off. You take on King DDD again. You knock him out of his trance or whatever. And really quick, shout out. I was so surprised that they did this. After you beat King DDD and they're all running towards the elevator, they go up to Lab Activia or whatever they call it. I can't remember. He actually has, like, a heroic moment where he goes back and grabs his Waddle Dee and throws him into the elevator and then fights all the Beast Pack coming at him. Like, I think that's character growth for King DDD. He's, like, always been a very selfish person. Maybe I'm thinking too much of the old show, Kirby Right Back at You, where he was, like, he was very much an antagonist.
I totally forgot about that show.
Oh, I love that show. Maybe they've changed him up a little bit in the recent years, but... him being, like, an actual good guy in this game was weird to me. Like, I am all for it. That was really cool. And I know he's been an ally in past games and everything.
Was he a star ally?
Yes.
Oh, terrible dad jokes.
He actually
he was a star ally.
He was a star ally, yeah. He was one of them.
I mean, not dad joke, truth. I was just talking truth.
Yeah, just speaking the truth. Yeah, it was just really cool seeing that. But yeah, you get him back, you go up, you fight the king, and he dumps all this lore on you out of nowhere, and then you get attacked by the Resident Evil 2 monster from the end of the game. I don't know, some kind of goop monster.
It was a really cool moment.
Yeah.
Like, the whole time I'm like, holy crap, like Kirby inspired by Resident Evil 2. Who would have thought?
Right? Yeah, running down a corridor from this giant blue goopy thing that had been like absorbing everything around it. Ugh, it's so freaky. You want to talk about boss fights in general? Because I think this game has some of the best boss fights I've seen in a while. I won't say like the best of all time, but thinking of like recent games. Now, I'm not like a massive boss fight guy. I don't like Elden Ring. I don't like From Software games. That's just not my jam. But thinking of like games recently that have had boss fights that I actually enjoy, Cuphead comes to mind. Maybe the Ori games. Everything else is like either made to be really frustrating or complicated, or it's just kind of a pushover, and it's kind of hard finding that line, and I think this game does it really well in really all of its boss fights. What did you think? Did I lose you? You there, Holden?
I can hear you, but I can't see you right now.
You froze up for a little bit. You're back.
Okay. All right, I can see you now. You can too. All right. I think I got what you're saying, though. Like the boss, it's not like you're saying the bosses are usually very easy in platformers.
Yeah, they're either very easy or they're just too complicated and kind of boring. I think this game really it tiptoes that line very well.
Totally agree. I don't mean to repeat anything you just said. If I do, unintentional. Sorry. But like thinking about Mario Odyssey bosses, where like it's like the same move set, kind of repeated over and over again, and it's like, oh, we're gonna make it more complicated. He's gonna do it 3 times now instead of 2, and it's like, like that's not interesting. But these were engaging boss battles.
Yeah,
like, I was invested. It wasn't something I just had to get past. Like, I was invested in the battle.
Yeah, you've got the gorilla at the beginning, which I got hit a few times, and it really makes you learn their patterns and everything very well. And it's not just always dodge out of the way here. It's, I have to jump over this. I have to run away from this. I have to float away from this. If I ever remember that they have this control, I can guard against this and everything. Like, that's a really good thing to have in such a like easy game that a lot of kids are going to be playing. This is like a very good entry level game for kids to like kind of get themselves acclimated with. I won't say tougher boss fights, but something more complicated than a Mario game where it's jump on their head 3 times.
I'd say one thing, you kind of brought up Elden Ring earlier, and I mean, obviously this game is nothing like Elden Ring.
It's exactly like Elden Ring. It's the same thing.
It's exactly like it. You have a sword at both. You can get Sword Kirby. Yeah. Gigantic Sword Kirby. He's just from Elden Ring.
And Kirby can do the ring thing as well. Kirby is the Elden Ring.
Yeah. Kirby is the Elden Ring, yes. Kirby is Elden Lord. Yes. This game, you have to read boss movements in a way that's much like more like an Elden Ring boss than it is an Odyssey boss or any other platformer I've played before. You really like, especially who's the cheetah that like does the gymnastic stuff?
Clawrine.
Yeah. You really have to look at her claws, like what her claws are doing, and be like, oh, she's gonna do like this move, like coming up, and it's all the bosses are very well designed. And what's also good about them too is how replayable they are.
Yes.
And this is true not just of the bosses, but of the whole game. Like whenever you beat a boss or a level, it's like, hey, here are the secret things you come across, and if you don't find all of them, they'll reveal one you didn't find. but only one. So it's kind of like, oh, like now I want to go back and try the boss again, but what's the thing I missed that I can like let me try it a little bit differently and see if that changes anything. And then if you do find it, you get the reward. If you don't find it, it's like it'll reveal it to you, and it's like, okay, now I know what that little secret thing I have to do this time. And it's like use the sword ability, or don't get hit, or in the case of the tree, which my understanding is that's a pretty iconic boss in Kirby, like a Goma of Kirby. Is like you have to break the roots. I didn't break the roots the first time. I didn't even think to do that.
Yeah.
And like that's the little thing you can do. It makes it engaging.
I love the challenge system in this game. From what I've seen, all Kirby games in the past have always been very simple. You start at the beginning, get to the end. Adding in, and they've had like secrets and everything you can find, but it's never been like connected to progression of the game or getting that 100%. It was always okay. I'm gonna go in here. Maybe I might find an ability in there that makes things a little easier. Maybe I find some health items. In this one, it's actively if I find a Waddle Dee in here, I can maybe find a blueprint that make my items better, my abilities better. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the like side mission mode in this, and I'm with you. I love that they reveal just the one, so you're like, I gotta go back in there, and unless you like look up a guide or something, you're like, when I've been doing it, I've been like extra surveying everything. Like I'm already trying to go everywhere I can, but I'm like, where the fuck did I miss that thing? Looking over every corner, trying to see what I missed. It's
there's like the 5 Waddle Dees in a level, and you're missing the third one, so you kind of know the range of where it's gonna be.
No, game is super replayable. I think I think it's going to be something I play for a while longer. I said the same thing with Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I kind of just fell off, but I also think I'm getting burnt out on Pokemon at the moment. Kirby is just a perfect game to just sit back in handheld mode and jump into a level. It takes 5 minutes to beat a level, so just like run through it, have fun. I don't know if I'll ever go for all of the figurines in it because they're luck based, and
there's a lot of them.
It's like 256, I want to say, and there's only 15 that you can get out of like actually completing stuff. Oh, while we're talking about like the side stuff there, what did you think of Waddle Dee Town?
So at first I'm like, oh, this is cool, you'll expand the town. And then I unlocked what I thought was all the buildings, like by the time I got to the end of the second world, and I'm like, man, like that burnt out really quick. And then it just keeps growing. And it just like keeps adding like new stuff, and it was always a reason to go back to Waddle Dee Town. It's really, and Waddle Dee Town's a really good example of how they balance difficulty in these games. In Kirby, like you can go there to get your extra attack power if you want to. So if you're having a hard time with some of the treasure island run things, whatever those are called, which can get very hard if you're going for the time, like the target time, you can go, okay, like I'm having a hard time beating the boss rush version of it. Let me go in and get the attack ability, and you're constantly finding a need to go back to Waddle Dee Town. Oh, and the whole like finding all the items, the blueprints. Like you can go to the little professor dude, or whatever his name is, and he'll tell you, oh, like you should go back to this level, and like around the escalator you'll find something there, and he'll kind of point to where those blueprints are. And they did a really good job making me want to go back. I kind of had this fear that, oh, they just kind of gave me some like health upgrades and I'll go there to swap out an ability, but I'm probably not going to go there very often or want to go back. I went back all the time. Yeah. And one thing they don't tell you, super useful, when you're on the map, hit B, you go right back to the Waddle Dee Town.
Also, you can just pull up the list of courses. You don't have to like actually travel to them by like pressing Y or X, I think.
I didn't catch that one at all. I wish I had known. Although I like the flying around. I did like the flying around.
Yeah, of course. Waddle Dee Town was really great. I was surprised at how it's as simple of a hub as you're gonna get. It's essentially a menu. Because you've got the Coliseum, which is your boss rush mode, and then you've got your fishing mini game, the cafe mini game, a tilt and roll mini game. Honestly, nothing like groundbreaking here or anything. This is stuff that could have been handled in a menu, but it just adds to the
Yeah.
charm even more that you're saving all these Waddle Dees, they're building the village, they're making it better. I wonder how much more they could add on to this. Like, in the future, is there going to be an update where even more sections of the game are going to open up and there's going to be more stuff you can do? I hope so.
Based on how some of the end game stuff goes, they could definitely do DLC for this,
Absolutely.
and they could keep adding to Waddle Dee Town.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Well, I think that is going to do it. Closing thoughts here. Holden, out of 10, what would you give Kirby in the Forgotten Land?
Out of 10, can I use decimal points?
Go for it.
It's a solid 8.5, I would say.
You know, I would agree. It just toes that line between 8 and 9. Obviously, it's not a 10.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be a
it's
Game
not,
of the Year contender. But
it's not Elden Ring. It's not that. It's not to that level.
I know, it's much better than Elden Ring. I do think, though, that this is one of the best Kirby games of all time. I actually just read up a ranking of like the top 10 Kirby games for GamePer, so go check that out if you want to find out where I ranked it. I think this is up there with one of the best Kirby games ever. It's so charming. It's a lot of fun, very replayable. This is a game that I see myself going back to, which isn't really something I've said about many recent games. I've kind of been on this rut where I am playing a game one time and then once I hit credits, I'm done. But I see myself going back to this just to kind of chill. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Holden, for joining me to talk about Kirby. And thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Right there, watching me, for checking out Pixel Street Videos. If you like this video, please leave a like, comment down below how you're liking Kirby in the Forgotten Land and all that stuff, and subscribe to see any of our future videos. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye!
Bye.